terrified of the ocean. It's deep, there's giant creatures in it, and I could possibly get stung by a jellyfish.
The ocean is really deep. Deeper, in fact, than most of us realize. If you were to shave off all of the land from the tops of every continent and island in the world and fill up the ocean's deepest points with that land, then the entire Earth would be covered in an ocean 2 miles deep.
Is that real? Are you kidding me right now? So you're telling me that if we just Minecraft mined up every single block on planet Earth and we shoved it into every single trench that's underwater, like if we filled up the Mariana Trench, for instance, which is 7 miles deep, by the way, that we would all be 2 miles under the surface of the sea. That is insane.
3/4 of our planet is already covered in water, though, and it goes a lot deeper than just 2 miles. Let's start with a sense of scale. This dot right here is the size of an average human. This slightly larger dot is the size of an elephant. And this is the size of the largest ship ever built.
Okay, I love how they're just so zoomed out to show how big the ocean is compared to these little things. Like, that's a human, that's an elephant, and they have the biggest ship on planet Earth just chilling at the top of the ocean, and it looks tiny. Like, it is only covering up a small percentage of the screen right now, and the rest of the screen is only a small percentage of the actual ocean.
Nevis. With that in mind, let's start going underwater and see what we find out.
Okay.
The first milestone is at 40 meters below the surface, which is the maximum depth allowed for recreational scuba diving. A little further down at 93 meters is where the wreck of the Lusitania was discovered, which is interesting because the Lusitania itself is 240 meters long, which means that it sank in water shallower than it is long, so if the ship was standing on its stern or bow, it would be sticking out of the water. Just slightly deeper than that, at 100 meters, is where diving can become seriously fatal if you're not careful because of decompression sickness. But that didn't stop a man named Herbert Nitsch to accomplish the free diving world record at a depth of 214 meters.
Are you kidding me? This guy, this absolute legend of a man, went past double the point where you're not supposed to go. 100 meters is already like super deep, but he decided, no, I'm going to go deeper. I'm going to go 150 meters. I'm going to go 200 meters. I'm going to go 214 meters below the surface of the Earth where there are giant creatures around. Like a blue whale could have came out of nowhere and Noah's Arked him. Or, no, it's not. Hold on. Cut. It's not Noah's Ark. It's Jonah in the well. A blue whale literally could have came out of nowhere and... hold on, cut. What? Jonah'd him. A blue whale could have came out of nowhere and Jonah'd him. He literally could have got eaten by a blue whale.
This guy swam down to this level with just one single breath. But a little further down at 332 meters, we have the scuba diving world record, which was accomplished by another man named Ahmed Gabir. If he had swam down another 111 meters, then he would have reached the height of the Empire State Building if it was submerged underwater. And a little further than that, at 500 meters below the surface, we arrive at the maximum dive depth of blue whales.
Okay, a blue whale, like literally the biggest creature on planet Earth, can only go down 500 meters. That should be the limit of the ocean. That's where the sand should be. Nothing should be able to go deeper than that. If the biggest planet, or cut. If the biggest animal on planet Earth can't go down past that, other creatures should not be able to go past that.
The largest creatures on the planet, and also the limit of the U.S. Seawolf-class nuclear submarine. At 535 meters, we can witness the maximum dive depth of emperor penguins, and this is when we must bring up the intensity of water pressure. At this level below the surface, the water pressure exerted on a person, or the penguins, would be roughly equivalent to a polar bear standing on a quarter.
What does that even mean? A polar bear standing on a quarter? Is that just like, so if I was the size of a quarter and I guess like a polar bear was standing on top of me, like that's probably what it means. That level of weight on like such a tiny object would be extremely painful. I don't know why they use that analogy because it's kind of weird. Nobody will ever understand what it's like for a polar bear to stand on a quarter, but I'm guessing it's probably the same as a Tyrannosaurus Rex standing on an average sized human being.
So further down the depths at 830 meters would be the height of the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, the tallest building in the world. Once we hit 1,000 meters below the surface, we begin to enter the scary zone. Light from the surface can no longer reach beyond this point, so the rest of the ocean below is shrouded in permanent darkness. On top of that, the water pressure you would experience at this point would be about the same as if you were standing on the surface of the planet Venus, meaning that you would die very quickly. You would also meet the giant squid at this sea level if the water...
The giant squid is down there. So not only there's no sunlight, Not only is the pressure going to kill you, but like if you're down there, let's say in a submarine, you could come across one of the weirdest creatures that they literally used to write novels about. Like they used to talk about this thing like it was fake. This thing would literally like destroy ships. They've made movies about this thing, and you can find it 1,000 meters below the surface of the ocean.
Water pressure didn't already kill you. At 1,280 meters, we reach the maximum depth dived to by the leatherback sea turtle, and further down at 1,828 meters, we would reach the deepest part of the Grand Canyon were it to be underwater with us. Down at 2,000 meters, we start to encounter some of the more terrifying sea creatures, like the ominously named black dragonfish, a carnivorous beast with a stomach that doesn't allow light to be emitted through it. Meaning that since we're in total darkness underwater at this point, the only way you would ever see this thing is with a...
Oh! Alright, that thing is horrible. That thing is like nightmare fuel. I thought it was maybe an anglerfish, but no, its eye is the only thing that lights up. The rest of it is just in pure darkness, and it literally has teeth that looks like it went to the store and bought vampire teeth. That is horrible.
The flashlight. A little further down at 2,250 meters, we would reach the maximum depth dived to by both sperm whales and the very frightening colossal squid. Sperm whales often have sucker marks and scars left on their bodies from battles with the colossal squid that likely take place at these incredible depths.
You're telling me that these two giant beasts are battling at 2,250 meters in pure darkness, by the way. They can't see a thing, and they're just duking it out. They're just fighting each other. The squid is grabbing onto the whale. The whale's doing whatever it does. I don't even know what sperm whales do, but they're just down there just battling. And we have no idea.
The squids themselves can grow to be 14 meters long and weigh up to 750 kilograms with eyes the size of a dinner plate and razor-sharp sickles in the middle of their tentacles.
That's
so
horrifying.
Yeah, good luck with that down there. Way further down at 3,800 meters, we can find the wreck of the RMS Titanic. And a bit past that, at 4,000 meters, we start to enter the Abyssal Zone of the ocean. Water pressure is at an astonishing 11,000 pounds per square inch down here, and there are numerous strange, almost alien-like creatures that inhabit these depths, such as the fangtooth, anglerfish, and viperfish.
So it seems like the theme is that the deeper you go into the ocean, the scarier the creatures get. Because, I mean, if you saw any three of these in, like, let's say your friend's dad's aquarium, you would probably run home screaming that they had a mythical beast inside of their aquarium. These things don't look like they're from this world. Like, the deeper you go into the ocean, the more alien the creatures get.
Down at 4,267 meters is the average depth of the ocean where you would normally expect to hit the floor, but there are parts of the ocean that go significantly deeper than even this. At 4,791 meters rests the wreckage of the battleship Bismarck sunk during World War II, and way down at 6,000 meters is the beginning of the Abyssal Zone, named after the underworld Hades itself.
They literally named it after one of probably the worst places that you could think of.
The water pressure down at these depths can become 1,100 times what you would experience way back on top at the surface, which is roughly equal to an elephant balancing on a postage stamp or a single person carrying the weight of 50 Boeing 747 jumbo jets.
That's insane. Yeah, water pressure is kind of crazy when you think about it. Like, it's literally like you are carrying all of the water that's above you. Like, it doesn't really make sense in my mind, and I don't think it ever will. But the fact that being that deep in the ocean is equivalent to 50 giant planes being on top of you, it just doesn't make sense.
Down at these depths, you would be crushed immediately without any outside protection, but life still exists down here in various strange forms.
How?
At 6,500 meters, we reach the maximum depth that the DSV Alvin can dive to, a popular research submarine that helped to discover the Titanic. Way further down at 8,848 meters below the surface, and we have arrived at the height of Mount Everest, were to be upside down and placed underwater. And then, way further past even that, at 10,898 meters, we arrive at the depth reached by James Cameron in 2012 during the Deep Sea Challenger mission. The deepest point in the ocean yet reached by humans was back in 1960, though, when two men named Don Walsh and Jacques Piccard reached a depth of 10,916 meters using their Trieste submarine.
That's so close. Look at that. Like, James Cameron in 2012 is probably punching the air right now, because he was what? he was like 18 meters away from being like in the record book as traveling the deepest in the ocean. Like at that point, I don't know why they just didn't go deeper. I'm sure that it's extremely dangerous, but you gotta risk it, right? Like you gotta go for that Guinness World Record.
It took them 5 hours to descend through the ocean to this depth, and they only stayed for 20 minutes before a window cracked and they began to resurface.
That would be horrifying, dude. Imagine if you're in a submarine and a window cracks. Like, what do? Do you just get some glue and you just start going crazy? I would personally grab some duct tape and then just cover up the window. I obviously wouldn't do anything, you know, I know that, but like still for peace of mind, I just wouldn't want to see it.
Just a bit further down from there at 10,972 meters and we reach the average flight altitude of a commercial airliner. So if you've ever looked out of a window while on a flight and looked down to the ground, that's a very good sense of how incredibly deep down into the abyss that we are currently at. Finally, when we hit 10,994 meters, we have hit the bottom of the known ocean called the Challenger Deep, right here on this map just about 300 kilometers southwest of Guam Island. However, it is believed that there are almost certainly even deeper parts of the ocean than this that just haven't been discovered yet. It wasn't until 1997, after all, that the Sirena Deep was discovered with a depth of 10,732 meters, making it the second deepest known point in the ocean. It is estimated that only about 5% of the ocean's floor has been accurately mapped, leaving the other 95% to be currently a mystery.
Yeah, I remember seeing a statistic that we've explored more of space, and I'm pretty sure we have a better And I'm pretty sure we have a better understanding of space than we do of our own ocean. Like, that's how big and that's how deep our ocean is. Which, it doesn't make sense, bro. The scientists, they gotta get on that. They gotta figure out what we're living with, because we don't know what's at the bottom of the ocean. We should be able to figure it out. Like, what if there's a megalodon just swimming around? I need to know about these things.
It may be only a matter of time before an even deeper part of our ocean is found.
It does not make me feel comfortable.
What we may discover there.
They really had to put that on the screen. They needed to put a giant kraken that supposedly could be down lurking in the depths of the ocean.